And hello again. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm Václav Šulista, founder of Šulista Consulting and career consultant for pharma and supply chain realms here in Switzerland. And it's a big pleasure to have Sebastian Bude with me today. Hi, Sebastian. How are you doing?
Hi, Václav. Thanks for having me. I'm excited for today.
We met in freezing cold Hamburg in January of this year on the Leaders Academy meeting of Robert Heinecke. And I found what your video, what you are doing, very interesting. And that was the reason I had invited you today to LinkedIn Live. So who is Sebastian Bude? Could you introduce yourself briefly, Sebastian?
Of course. As you said, my name is Sebastian Butter, and I'm the founder of the video agency Show Not Tell. And yes, we make companies visible through strategic video marketing. And that's what we're going to talk about today, right? Very excited.
Exactly. Could you tell me a little bit how long are you in the business and what brought you to found your agency?
Yes, I think the whole journey started 8 years ago. I think 8 years ago was the time when I decided I want to make films. I want to make, at that time, YouTube videos, social media content and stuff like that. So I was studying psychology and had a passion for video. And that's when the first projects came in. But I founded a tech startup back in the days where we did virtual reality storytelling. And then I worked in research for 6 years. And then last year I decided I want to go back to the roots, basically, and take everything I learned into action with the agency. Because what I learned is that there are so many great innovative ideas who are not visible in the market or in a focus group. And everything I learned along the way can now be, is now the topic of our agency. And it's
I am probably the first example for it because I had a contract with a video company. I paid for it. I produced one video out of 20, which I was allowed to do so because I was not able to record myself good enough that I was satisfied with that. So this is my personal. I love videos. I love watching videos. I hate watching myself talking. So this is like my own burden to it, and that's why I'm not that good with that. But as we pre-discussed in our meeting before, that and you mentioned it now, there are many innovative businesses, but they still struggle to stand out, even when they have a really excellent message and compelling idea. Why is it?
Yeah, I think they're solving the wrong problem, basically, because most of the businesses think we need to produce more, or we are not producing enough content. So they make more content. They make more LinkedIn posts. They maybe make more videos. They made ads. But the real problem isn't volume, it's clarity, in my opinion. Because innovative businesses or innovative ideas, projects are often so deep in their ideas and their technology that they forget nobody outside their team actually understands what they're doing. And that's a pretty common problem. So, yeah.
This is one thing which is extra appealing for me as somebody who is helping people to do the next steps in their careers. And we'll be talking about it as well. So how does this employer branding, the visible brand of the company, actually influence whether top candidates apply at the company or not?
Massively, in my opinion, massively. But probably not the way most people think. Because I believe that many businesses want to look professional. And if they look professional, top talents will come. But I think that's the wrong way, because you better know that than I am, that top talents want other things. They want to know, is this business a rocket ship, quote unquote rocket ship? So they are looking for growth, momentum, the future of the business. They also want to know who are the people, like the team, the culture, how's the leadership, and also on a personal level, what can I learn when working here? Like the impact, the challenge, the personal growth. And, looking professional doesn't answer these questions.
Probably, the touch and feel. If I see, the CEO is very friendly, the CTO is a funny guy, there is a good atmosphere. Maybe I'm more tempted to apply for the position that I have seemingly see something sterile talking about what does the company do.
Yeah, exactly. And I understand that websites are very important for businesses, right?
Yeah.
But you can write whatever you want on your website. You can also make some cool photos on the website. But to really get an understanding or a feel of the company, of the business, on how is it really to work there, you need to take the people behind the curtain, more or less. And that's why I love video so much, because it's very authentic in many ways. You can show exactly, or you can show better emotions. You can take the people at their hand and walk them to the business, and that's really important. And that's a way to fight the stereotype.
A small organizational topic before we go ahead with the question. If you have any question to Sebastian, please put it into the comments. I don't see the LinkedIn comments, but I see it pop it out in StreamYard, and I can show you on the screen, so I can pass your questions on Sebastian. So my other question is, so what are the typical mistakes? What do you see that companies are doing wrong when they try to communicate through video or social content?
So the name of my agency is Show Not Tell. It's for a reason, because I think, in my opinion, it's the number one mistake. They tell instead of show. Okay, so they are telling we are innovative, we are a great employer, we are changing the industry, but not many are showing examples of how innovative they are or what they're doing, or they don't show the team. They are not very specific in how they change the industry. But you can show it. You can show it with examples. You can show it with video. You can show it with photo series. You can show it with social media. There are so many great ways. And I think that those businesses, those ideas, those projects who stay invisible are not really reaching their full potential, because they don't have a look on that. That's one big mistake. And the other thing is, as I said, I used to work in research, and in the science community, this is very common, and I can see it also in the tech industry, for example, in the health industry, because those people chase perfection a lot in what they're doing. And I understand why they're doing it. And of course, this is important for professional work, but they're chasing perfection so much that they lose the authenticity.
Yeah, I will confirm this, because what you see a lot are really perfect, professional, polished videos. But maybe
exactly.
So is it still the standard for employer branding, or is there something shifting nowadays?
So I think it's shifting, yeah, for sure. Because even, we can see how fast artificial intelligence is evolving and developing. So I think maybe in 6 months from now, or 1 or 2 years from now, it will become very easy to achieve perfection with a single, pressing a button and something comes out and it looks very, very nice. And then the raw, authentic look will be even more important, because we're all humans, and also businesses make businesses with human beings. And we humans have some kind of sensors to realize if this is realistic or not, if this is a real human being or not. And we already can see, for example, if you are talking with a sales agent who is an artificial intelligence, then most people don't like the idea of talking to a computer. Or also on LinkedIn, I see a lot of LinkedIn posts, a lot of text which is obviously AI generated, and you can also see that it's not performing in the algorithm, that people don't like the idea. There are more and more comments under it saying, hey, this is AI generated. Why don't you say how you mean it? So we have some kind of sensors for it. and even it becomes better and better, I think we will be at a point where perfection isn't anymore the standard for professional.
But with all this AI, so the other question, what does actually then makes brand companies, whatever, memorable to candidates, to investors, to stakeholders general? So what is it? What makes actually a brand memorable?
So the core DNA of the business, I would describe it, because what values are really important. What is the story behind the business? What is the story behind the people? Who are the people? Everyone has their own unique stories, right? And everyone is participating to the big goal of the company. So everyone is taking part of it, more or less. And of course, the founders play a very big role in that. The idea of the mission plays a big role in that. Everything combined is what I call the DNA of the business, of the company, and that's something you can show very good in your communications, on your website, in videos, on image films, on social media, and everything. And this all plays a big part in employee branding, I guess, or my opinion. So, for an example, if we work with a new customer, with a new client, on the first day, we spend like half a day doing a deep dive workshop on working with DNA. And it's not my goal to form this DNA, because most businesses already know it, right? Yeah. But we want to find it out, and we want to make it more public, make it even bigger. And from that DNA, you can work differently in many directions. If we talk about communications, I mean, we are a video agency, and we're doing a lot of image campaigns, image films, or we do social media for our clients. But other video production companies often go like, okay, so you want to make a video, right? We're writing you a concept, or this is cool, we can do that. But when you go really deep into the DNA of the company, then you can perform in a very other way than others, and going the extra mile on that. And I think that's really, really important.
Mm. Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to. Basically, you preempted my next question already. So if I, as a founder for whatever healthcare, career consultancy business, so if I ask you today, how do I become more visible to the right people? So what would you tell me or them to start?
So, I mean, that's part of the workshop I just mentioned when we work with new clients. But to make it easy, I would argue that there are basically 3 questions. Okay, so the first question is, who are the right people? You're talking about the right people. Who are the right people? So, for example, you could say top talent in health tech, but it's too vague, because that's not very. You need to be more specific in this. A better example would be, I don't know, machine learning engineers with medtech background who are currently frustrated in a big pharma company because innovation is too slow. So that would be a very specific avatar of your ideal customer, or the idea. The second question is, what's your unfair advantage, which is very important. Again, it goes back to the core DNA of the business, but your unfair advantage is something you need to be very clear of, and you need to communicate a lot. And the unfair advantage is not we have a good culture, we pay well, so everyone says that. It's what you have that others don't, right? The story of the CEO, of the CTO, of the founders. Or an example could be, we have access to 2 million patient scans, the largest data set in Europe, something like that. And then the last question, to make it very simple at this point, is, where do the quote-unquote right people hang out? Is it LinkedIn? Is it X? Is it GitHub? Is it industry conferences? Yeah. There's so many ways. We talked about machine learning engineers. I don't think that LinkedIn is optimal for those, because they're maybe on a platform called Kaggle, or Papers with Code, or specific subreddits. Very interesting.
Yeah, Reddit are very, very interesting. Yeah. The trends are going high, and I specifically search from time to time for career topics on on Reddit, and there is really the raw reality you find there, definitely not on LinkedIn. We have a first question by Thomas. Thank you, Thomas. I read it loud because I know that some of my clients are listening to this by rowing and sitting on their fitness bike. So the business world is changing. AI is becoming more and more a colleague, and for a lot of roles, it's replacing humans. So it's an open discussion and presentation of humans and AI in video, the right solution. That is for some companies already now the right story. What do you see in your practice?
So we are an AI native agency, which means we use AI a lot for everything we do. The core goal is to be the most efficient as we can be. And also, if you see a video production on the timeline, we start with the pre-production, we have the production itself, and then we have the post-production. And many workflows already can be automated. And for example, in the pre-production phase, you can use your frameworks, you can use your custom ideas, your automatization to generate a lot of content in a very short time frame. And then you can go in discussion with the company and see what fits best into the core DNA again. Or in the post-production, of course, there are already workflows which are commonly known, which makes it all more efficient and faster. I mean, in the agency world, speed is the most valuable currency. And I think AI is great. For example, we just had a project with the business or with the project who was doing the 6G network, like mobile networks. And I can catch a camera and go outside and film the 6G network, right? So we need to be creative to visualize it. And satellites in space are very important for this technology. And we are not able to fly into, to outer space and film the satellites. So therefore we use it a lot. But I like the idea of hybrid productions, and I think this question goes into this direction because we can already generate a lot with AI, and at the end, the human taste is what makes it different. I mean, I'm not sure if you're into a format called user-generated content. It's very common in the e-commerce space. And for example, TikTok is full with it. You can generate AI avatars in a minute, which has become very easy, and they're presenting a product. But when it becomes so easy, the outcome will be less and less valuable.
There is a follow-up question from Thomas. I mean, not the production, the company presentation of their DNA. When it is humans, but also AI roles, do they already show it in a video?
To be honest, I don't really understand what AI roles means in this question.
Yeah, but I understand if you have, a company have human roles and they have a lot of, for example, AI agents which are doing the business. Would you show it in your company introduction, or would you just show the humans? I think that's the question.
Okay, now I understand. Yeah. So I can speak on my own experience, right? On my own example. As I said, we are an AI native agency, and that's what we are communicating outside. Because we are losing a lot of AI agents. We have a lot of AI roles. And I think it's important to show it because, as I said, in the agency world, speed is the most valuable currency. And we can be very fast and very efficient if we have the best AI agents, for example. And for possible employers, for potential candidates or people who want to work with us, if they know that you are using a lot of AI agents, then you can concentrate on your key topics from your position, to use them to be more efficient, to work better and everything. I mean, that's a great asset. That's a USP. That's an unfair advantage. And of course, you can show it. There's no reason to hide it.
Would you have, Sebastian, a good example of your work for us, which you can show to the people, so we not only talk,
we show.
Would you like to show us a short glimpse, a short video, something typical for your production? And
Sure.
guys, bear with us because it's the first time I'm sharing screen of someone on a LinkedIn Live. So let's hope everything
really?
works smoothly. Yeah.
Oh,
So
fingers crossed.
you are my guinea pig. So start to get nervous. No, all will be good. So basically, you need to share your screen, and then I will put it to the
Through the LinkedIn Live here.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So let's start with the example I just told you, the 6G network, because I think it's a very great example of a hybrid production. The combination of real footage with AI-generated images, for example. And yeah, give me a second.
Yep.
So I think I need to share my screen here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share the entire screen.
Yeah.
And I also share my system audio so that everyone can hear. Currently, we're only working in a dark region, in a German-speaking areas. That's why this video is in German. And I'm going to show you a short version they're using for ferries. The other one goes more into detail. I'm just going to show it to you, and then we can discuss after that. What is the important thing about this, right? So you can see now the QuickTime player, right? Awesome. Okay, I'm going to start. It's 90 seconds.
Unsere Welt verlässt sich auf ständige Verbindung. Doch was passiert, wenn das bestehende Netz nicht mehr ausreicht? Der Arbeitsbereich Nachrichtentechnik der Universität Bremen entwickelt das 3D-Netzwerk der Zukunft. Ein System, in dem Datenströme aus Bodenstationen, Drohnen und Satelliten nahtlos miteinander verbunden sind. 3D-Netze schaffen Verbindung überall. Sie sichern Kommunikation in Krisen, ermöglichen autonomes Fahren, machen Landwirtschaft intelligenter, verbinden Umweltsensoren und helfen somit, die Umwelt zu beobachten und zu schützen. ANT. Wir verbinden die Welt in 3 Dimensionen.
Nice. Thank you for showing. So if you look at it, was it like 50% footage original, 50% AI generated? What would you say?
Good question. In the final, what we did here was we developed a modular storytelling, which is we have different models of the content, and we can pack the different models together as we like. This one was for the ferries because there are a lot on ferries, and it should work with no audio. So that's why we put the text in the middle of it. And I think this was model 1, 4, and 6 combined. In the big production where we have all modules, we go really into detail, into technical details and everything. There were all 6 modules, and in the big production, I think we had 40% AI generated content. It was a very great project because they called us and said, okay, in 3 days, there's a big ferry starting here, the Space Tech Expo, and we have a stand there, and we need to present our idea, our technology, our project on the big stage. Can you do that? Yes, we can do it. Then, so the project had a lot of documentation with photos. They have a lot of photo documentation, and I think they had a few examples of videos. So they gave it to us, and we used that as a base to generate the AI images, and then also we generated different visuals to expand the story itself. And yeah, so all in all, yeah, if we now discuss it, I think it would be 60 to 70% all in all AI generated in that case.
And so you showed us a clip which is 90 seconds. How many hours of work are hidden behind those 90 seconds? Just a rough cut.
So in this case, there was the call on Monday morning, and I knew it should be ready at Thursday morning. I didn't count the hours. Didn't count the hours of work, and I didn't count the hours of sleep.
But let's say several working days are behind the 90 seconds video clip.
Definitely in this case, yeah. So we spent the whole day, the whole Monday on working on the core identity of the project to really get this out, and we realized that the problem is not the technology. I mean, the problem is not the technology, but it's also the problem, because if they are on stage, if they talk with stakeholders, with potential partners, everything, they talk about the technology. The technology is very technical, and people don't really get the point of why is this important? Why should we invest into it and everything? But when they are speaking publicly, the most common question was always, so why do we need a 6G network? I mean, I have barely a 4G network on my smartphone when I'm in a rural area. So why should we work on 6G networks, right? And also there were some concerns and some fear maybe about the technology.
That's all the time the same.
Yeah, exactly. So we pointed that out a lot. What is the core problem? And we made it very practical. So what happens if you don't have a net? If you don't have a network, if you don't have, if you can't use your mobile phones and everything, even in emergency cases, I think that's very important. So we played a lot with emotions and with the problem itself.
You said, Sebastian, that you're starting basically with an audit of a company, and what is the most common blind spot? What you find there when you are doing like audit of the company before you start filming or scripting?
So what is very common is that, I mean, mostly I'm talking with the CEOs and that part of the production, and they already know exactly what the mission statement is of the company, what the core values are, and they're very good in it. But then the next question is, okay, but how do you show it in public? I mean, how do you bring it outside the company or even inside the company? Internal communication is also a very big topic, right? And then they're like, yeah, we have it somewhere on the website, or we have it in our an onboarding process, or even somewhere on the cloud in a document, or they have printed it out. I don't know. So the ideas are mostly already there, but stuck somewhere inside the head, inside folders, inside whatever. And mostly they don't really think in problems. They think in solutions, which is great. I understand that totally from a CEO perspective. But if you want to communicate it clearly and make your solution more valuable, then I think it's a great way to start with the problem, to start with the why. You probably know the why theory of Simon Sinek, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So those are common issues.
What I see a lot that companies are filming something like a day in the life videos, and call it, and that's the employer branding. And what separates content that actually moves someone to apply at a company to a content that just looks nice? And I think this is the famous discussion, raw, authentic against polished, but we can really deep dive into it because I have follow-up question on this as well. So what is this? What separates the nice content from one which already moves you?
Maybe you have heard about the discussion recently between Burger King and McDonald's.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
So there was a clip of the McDonald's CEO trying out a new burger, right? And they filmed it and they posted it on social media. And it was, it wasn't that optimal. Let's say it like this. So it doesn't seem that he really liked the burger, and it doesn't seem that he normally eats burgers. So he was sitting inside a McDonald's building and was tasting it, and the reaction in the internet wasn't very good. And then the Burger King CEO made a similar video where I think he was in the lab, somewhere, not sitting on the desk. He was somewhere really in the field, was trying the burger, and he was so passionate about biting into it and saying something like, "It's great, but one thing is missing. It's the napkin, because he had sauce in his hands." And he was really enjoying the burger, and I think that made the difference. That authenticity again, and also from a production perspective, I've never heard someone talks about that, but for me, there's a very important thing: how this was produced. I mean, the McDonald's CEO had a stand, probably an iPhone on it, or a camera, doesn't matter at that point. It was static. He was sitting there eating very slowly, saying some words, and that would cut. That's it. The McDonald's CEO was trying the new big arc, was the title or something. But then the Burger King CEO, it was handheld filmed. It was behind the scenes. It was behind the curtains. It was more rough. It was more raw. And the example of McDonald's, you can already create this with AI. You can build an AI avatar of the CEO, then click some buttons, and you get exactly those kind of videos. And it's very easy to replicate. To replicate. Thank you. But the authentic behind-the-scene vlog style video of working, maybe it is possible in the future, but at the moment it's very tough to do it. So that's why it's also different. To do it exactly.
We have the next question from Ileana. Thank you, Ileana. I think this comes more from the perspective of somebody who is a candidate and search for a job. So would you provide some hints about how to liaise with these companies which are not visible? LinkedIn, other options? Thank you. I would say, if I may take this, LinkedIn definitely yes, but as Sebastian already elaborated, there are other channels where companies are visible. So Reddit is for me something which I strongly recommend to people. Most people don't know Reddit, which is funny. Everybody knows Facebook. On LinkedIn, Reddit is not that known, but you will be surprised how many novel information trends are popping up on Reddit before weeks or months before LinkedIn even talks about it. So for me, like, to stay informed about the trends, I wrote even once entire article about career fears of people who are being raised on Reddit. So Reddit would be for me, Ileana, like the best. Anything you would like to add to this?
I mean, Reddit is also great because the search engine, the LLMs like Reddit a lot as well, right? So if you ChatGPT is referring to Reddit a lot, Gemini, Claude, so it's a great source. But we talked about it earlier, as you said. It's not what are other platforms which could work. The question is, where is your focus group acting, and that is the right platform. That is the right way.
You mentioned something between the authentic and raw. Where is the line between like being authentic and start to begin non-professional? Because people think, I will do something, with my mobile phone. This is authentic. That's raw. That's fantastic. But I think there's a very thin walking line between it. How do you see this?
So I can give you an example which makes it clear, I think. When I'm not an agency owner and work as the agency head, I also do work as a film director, especially for documentations. And we're currently working on a big sports documentary, and I talk with the CEO of I don't know if I can say that, of the league, of the sports league. And we arranged the appointment, the meeting, the production, and he was very curious about all the questions I want to ask him, and I understand that. Gave it to his media guy, so the media guy can write answers to him. And I said to him, I don't want you to read the answers. I don't want you to memorize the answers. We will have a genuine discussion or conversation about the topic. This is the topic.
Mm-hmm.
These are the subtopics, and you can prepare for that. Fair enough. You need to. That's fair. We need this. But then we just talk as like we were sitting in a pub and having a drink together about this topic, because then you talk different. It's the same when you're in a podcast or in a live event like this. I mean, you can script this whole conversation, but if you do it on a genuine conversation and even have the R's, S's, and the thinking process of both of you, and also you maybe repeat yourself, maybe you use wrong words or whatever, but this makes it authentic. But if we look on a video production, for example, an image frame, which is a very highly polished production at the end, the question is not really what is said in the video, but what is shown in the video. Mm-hmm. And you can use stock footage of your industry, or you can use a small camera and go through the factory and show how the people are working in a factory, or you can implement a day in the life section area or whatever. So there are many ways, and this can be all planned out at the beginning. But I think that's what's make the difference. What is making the difference.
So let's assume I am a founder of a startup. I have a very, very tight budget. So basically no budget for hiring a company like yours. But I have someone who is a very skilled hobby filmer, has a good mobile phone. What could they do if they would like to start 2 videos? So what would you give them as a tip? Because most of us starting somewhere, very, very basic. And then it goes,
yes.
better camera, and so on.
Yeah.
I remember myself putting all my first videos on a terrible inbuilt camera of an old Windows laptop, and people estimate them because the content is cool, but the quality is simply shitty. So I will review them all, but it served the purpose for 5 years. So how can such people start which have no budget for an agency like yours?
Yeah. So the purpose is content, or what is the purpose? What is the goal with the video in this example?
Content, for example, show what does the company do, like introduce yourself in a good way on LinkedIn, for example.
Yeah. So I think where business can learn a lot from is the creator economy, because even now with the rise of TikTok, there are many big creators who just started with simple front camera videos of their phones talking about a specific topic. And they posted 1, 2, 3 videos a day on TikTok on a base of, 1 year. And it's not really about the production of the production quality in that case. It's more about what is talked about, what is the content itself. And you can start with this as well. People are afraid that it doesn't look professional at the end, but I would argue that to start in a more rough way is better than to start never. And if you have a good smartphone, what most people have, you're already good to go. I mean, I would invest $10 to $15 into a great microphone which you can plug into your smartphone, because great audio is way better than a bad image.
This is it, because that's why my clients are telling me, hey, that I'm sounding like from a radio studio. And
exactly.
This is the investment in a good Shure microphone, which is not killing you. It's like $300, and it's for 2 years.
I mean, if you consume content and it's great audio but bad image, it's okay, and you will still watch it if you like the idea, the topic. But if it's highly polished, produced, and it looks visually great, but you can't understand a single word because the audio is so bad, then you probably wouldn't watch until the end, right?
So we are in the minute 40, which is a fantastic sign because I'm still not bored. I hope our spectators not as well. And but we need to drive it to the close because I have a hard stop at 2 o'clock.
All right.
Very practical question, Sebastian. If I give you the order, do us a 1 minute video about Chulista Consulting, my daughter and I telling who we are and what do we do with our clients, what kind of price tag you put on it? Because this is a question what everybody needs to know. Our agency, that will be terribly expensive. So what would you charge for something like that?
Yeah, the price question, always a great question. I mean,
absolutely,
it depends on so many things, right? I think I can give you a minimum price if you want to work with agencies in general. I think that would work the best. I think you need to invest at least 5,000 to 6,000 euros if you want to make a professional video. I think that's the bare minimum. And if you want to fly in a private jet, then you need more budget, probably.
Absolutely, doesn't shock me at all. So basically, if you say between 5,000 and 10,000 euros, there is something you have a good professional short intro of your company, which is.
You can start to work with that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you don't have to, when you're a startup, you don't have to drive a Rolls Royce from the beginning. So it's good to have some start, and this is good to know. Sebastian, thank you very much for being my guest. I'm looking forward to see more of your production. Good luck with everything, and please stay for a moment in the studio. I close the stream, and then we can do a short debrief. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Ciao. Bye. So.